Hello YouTube, I'm back again on NASCAR 21 Ignition, coming out in a couple of days here. Monday night for me, but really first full day's on Tuesday, and it's Thursday when I'm recording this. And this is Real Radman's Kansas video he released like an hour before I record this, so this is just for background and to remind me on like stuff I would want to talk about or commentate almost. So the game comes out in about 4 or 5 days or something. It's kind of a mixed bag. So yeah, it's got its good points and it's got its bad points. And one of them is right here. It's the controls, you can see, let me actually pause it if I can. Yeah, so he's on that steering wheel right there. And there's no settings. And I don't think there's any for the controller either. Which is pretty bad. Because in Heat 5 at least, the wheel, I have the G920, but the wheel was terrible in the game. And I heard it's pretty good in this game, but needs a little bit. Like Disco Inferno said that you need to turn the wheel a lot for a good amount of input. And that kind of, it's not the greatest, and it would be nice to change, but hopefully they could add something. I don't know how much they could add on this, but hopefully they would be able to do just a little bit so that you could get your wheel kind of dialed in a little bit, or at least use the buttons for the menu, because you can't do that yet, which is pretty unfortunate. But I'm gonna keep going here. And yeah, you can't yet turn off steering assist, but it's found out that if you put medium, it's actually less, which is kind of strange. But I guess these are some of the wheels too that work for the game so far that they have added. But yeah, most of the assists you can't. Yeah, so for the assists with it being medium and instead of low, which is better, who knows what the other assists do. Like if you could put medium or high traction control on, but it's actually less. So it'd be interesting to see if anyone could try that out. And of course I don't have an early copy, but it would be interesting to try out. There are actually a ton of wheels here, which is good. I didn't see that the other day. Let's see if I can zoom forward a little bit here. Yeah, here's some more settings. He's talking about the steering assistance, and so yeah, I wonder what spin recovery would be like too. Nobody's had it on yet. That would be interesting to see if it helps you get back right when you've spun out. That could be a good thing to have on too, since reverse only works half the time, which is another big issue. But that should get solved, because yeah, you should be able to go in reverse. That's a pretty key point. Yeah, not many modes available either, which is what was expected. And this would be another good place to pause as well. Doesn't actually tell you how many laps you're gonna do, which is kind of bad, because percentage doesn't really tell you how long the race is gonna be exactly. And it would be nice to go by laps instead of percentage. Race field size is interesting, and it's nice to be able to change that, but I feel like most people would want to have more than 40 cars instead of less in a NASCAR race, for a game at least. Because if you just do less, I mean, it's always better with more cars, it seems, for these kind of games. And then weather is nice to be able to change, and there are day to night transitions too, which I heard were pretty good. And then temperature, nobody really knows if it works yet, and likely not because of how much doesn't work, but it might. And would be interesting to try with different setups when you're actually able to save them. The damage model is probably one of the best things on the new game, because you can get, thankfully you can do visual damage now, so you can do a bunch of crashing and your car won't slow down at all, which is good for crash compilations on YouTube. And then tire wear and fuel consumption, you can't see any of that during the race, but you can feel tire wear and can't really see anything for fuel. Actually can't at all for fuel consumption. They should be able to add something like that along the lines pretty soon, hopefully, because it is pretty big and you should be able to see that. And even though the game's bare bones, it's important. NASCAR rules are terrible right now, and you need to be able to have a thing for black flags or like cautions only, because the black flags don't work at all right now. And they're a good thing to add for the game, but they're over penalizing and will instantly ruin your race if you slightly mess up, or even the dogleg at Phoenix, which is a completely legal move. It'll just make you have to do a penalty for that. And yeah, cautions don't come out unless it's like a huge wreck, like 30 seconds down the line, which should be fixed, because it seems pretty easy to go in there and change the code to like after a car spins out, 2 seconds until it shows like that a caution would be out, and then after it shows that the caution's out, it would be nice to have like 5 seconds to have like a wreck still happen, so that you don't like start spinning out and then it automatically stops the wreck, because that would be pretty unrealistic and not fun at all. And then the simulated qualifying is cool too, so you don't have to go in and qualify. So you can start on pole if you want, or last, or you can do a random spot, and that's cool, and that's a good feature. Oh, shoot. Okay, good. I think the video's going, yep. Let's see if I can get... Yeah, this is pretty interesting too, how it has the drivers. And good thing that each have 2 paint schemes, but limited at 2, which is not great, but the stats are pretty cool as well. With the person or wins championships, then a bunch of stats. I thought there were more stats too, but yeah, you can also view the car and spin it around at your own pace instead of the thing where it's like constantly spinning and like every 20 seconds you get to see the part you want to see. But yeah, that's a good touch, but also I heard some of the numbers are messed up a little bit. Yeah, here's the spin around camera. But some of the numbers on, I think, the Hendrick cars were messed up. And that's not good, because that means there weren't like, I guess you weren't expecting laser scans, but it's like they're hand built almost, which isn't good. That means they're not very accurate. This is a pretty clean menu here, and don't know what that's about, but haven't even loaded into race yet. Okay, here we go with the pad. This is good here. It's a nice like menu style, but without making it like a normal menu. Now this is a point that I haven't seen many people talk about, but it gives a feeling of hope. You got all this data right here, and then you got this, and this is essentially a track map in the data pad, and it shows that they have the kind of data for a track map, because it ends up showing cars going around on it, and it shows every single car, and it records their data here. But this could very easily just take much of the data out and then put it on the left side of the screen like it was in Heat 5, and it could be a track map, and many people would be happy about it. And it seems like it would be pretty easy to add in, since they basically have a track map here. So if they were able to get it in the game, that would be nice, but yeah, who knows. And then I don't think anything up there matters, especially since you can't change your setup really, which is kind of like good to know. But and then for the setup here, only those 5, and it doesn't even save yet. So here's the assists too. Steering assist, you can't. Somehow that's off. Let me turn my. Okay, so apparently, if you're on a wheel, you can't have any steering assist. So everything we see on a wheel, like his here, is no steering assist, which is good. But the fact that it can be off here, and then on for the controller, it seems like it would be easy for the devs to go in and change that, so it could be off on the controller as well, which is a good thing, that it should be able to be done easily. Hopefully, and hopefully that's part of a patch pretty early, because it's annoying. Seems like it ruins gameplay. So yeah, not much for the dead zones there. And then another thing too is that none of these save after you get in a game yet, which could be easily fixed. But it seems like you can't turn motion blur off, and it looks really bad in this game, at least for me and for most people I've seen, if not all. So low makes it better, but it would be much better off and would probably help your frame rate too. So they should be able to make it so you can turn it off somewhat soon. Seems like it'd be easy to do. Another bad thing here, how it starts you like right before the finish line. And this is for qualifying, and it's like, you can see he's only going 151 here, and this is the lap that counts. And realistically, you would be going probably at least 180 here. And that's why when a lot of people do qualifying on the intermediates, I've noticed they've all had terrible lap times. And I think that's the reason, is that it slows you down right before it. So they should, if they can, it would be nice for them to add a second lap so that you can at least get some speed built up. And it would be a nice quick way to get around the terrible qualifying thing without having to make too many severe changes. I guess he's going to crash it anyway. There's his wheel moving around. Car looks a little floaty there. I guess I got an ad. Two ads. Yeah, car looks a little floaty, but I have a terrible monitor, so can't really tell with graphics, but on mine it looks pretty bad, but still better than Heat 5. And a lot of people say it looks super good, and I can't really tell because of the monitor, but I believe that it looks good. Cameras here are pretty good, except the wheel cam is a little far back. Smoke on pit road, that's good detail there. Yeah, and you can't actually go in the garage here, which is good because it hints that in the future it might be something that they add. Probably not in the lifetime of this game, but somewhere down the road, it'll likely be a feature, which is super cool. And this year for the qualifying, there's that. I don't know if this is a replay or if he's on pit road again. Yeah, I think this is the second time. It's cool that you're able to pull down here and look at all the cars. And this is definitely not by accident, because the player can go in here. And most people would have it so the player wouldn't be able to. And I feel like it would be a stock setting. And there's a lot of detail back here for a spot that the player doesn't need to go to. So, probably building on a feature that is to come soon, which is nice. Gives hope for a later game. And wall there. That makes sense, I think. Unless there's more garages back here, I guess, so. Yeah, it's a cool touch. Zoom ahead a little bit. Presentation is nice, but the same thing over and over again, and cut much too short. So it'll get highly repetitive. Still nice they added it though. Just they should have used that extra time to fix the bugs. Crew chief is also the same for everybody, so it's not like not laser scanned for each individual crew chief. This is bad here too, how you don't get any control until the start line. They should change that. Not a huge issue, but hopefully should be fairly easy. AI is actually pretty spread out here. And I don't know if Denny and Kurt got like a simulated like penalty to start back here, because there's no way in heck they were slow enough to be back here, but everything looks good here so far. Also, a thing to note, I think those stands for brake control, traction control, and steering control. And I was looking for Dirt Bristol because everyone says it's absolutely horrendous. And SC is blue the whole time. So if you're able to turn that off, Dirt Bristol could be a much better experience. And here he's kind of lagging behind a little bit. And here's the pause, and good thing you can't just automatically quit an online session, it looks like. Wouldn't be. Here's a crash too. Crash physics are super impressive in this game. And honestly, damage too looks pretty cool. A little shaky, but it's a good improvement. And yeah, I'll end up definitely buying this game just for the crash physics, because I have plans to make crash compilations on this game, because the crashes have actually been entertaining this time around, which is a good thing. A very good thing. Personally, one of my favorite parts of NASCAR, crashes, but AI looks okay here still. Not as bunched up as I've seen it sometimes, but the game's kind of hit or miss with the AI. Sometimes it's pretty good, like the spread looks good here, but sometimes it's like Talladega style, which isn't good. A little bit of lane switching here with the AI too, which is nice. And can't go on the apron because of black flags, and got Kurt a little loose there. Gets a little run on the high side here, which is good. Seems like multi-lane racing has kind of gone away a little bit, and it seems like the bottom is dominant on most, if not all, the tracks, but this will be a good test here. I guess it is a little bit of a run off the top, but not as much as it should be. Hopefully that can get improved soon. Now it's kind of getting... They do slow down in the middle of the corner as well, which is not great. A little tight there, but it gets a good run still, which is good to see that you can get a run on the high side at Kansas. Dumped into the wall there. Looks good. And I think it actually kicks you out of the race. Yeah, disqualified. It's weird. You get a penalty for crashing or because I don't think it's the damage that took him out, because he didn't have that hard of a hit with the wall, which is interesting. Good stats here, though. Menu is nice and quick, too, unless that's a cut, but... So, yeah. What's good is that there's a bunch of bugs in this game, which is terrible, of course, but a lot of the stuff that's super bad looks like it'll be easy to fix. And it looks like it could be done in a couple patches and is not too complex, which is good because the base for the game is super good. But there's just a couple things holding it back from being a great game. And they got pretty lucky that they seem easy to fix, but I'm no game developer myself, so I couldn't tell on that, but also has the caution up there too, which should be green instead, but that's another thing that should be fairly easy. And then also coming onto like a start, or especially restart is bad, but for the start on like Phoenix and Martinsville, they have the cars running up at the wall, which isn't good or realistic at all. And I don't know how easy that would be to fix, but I would say that would be a moderate thing, but definitely something that should be fixed. And then for the restarts, I have no idea what happens, but it's like a bunch of cars stop and run through each other and get mixed up, and it ruins your race pretty badly. And that's definitely a bug and definitely will have to be fixed. Otherwise, the developers are just going to get shamed for the game, because it's one of those that has to go fixed and can't be left untouched. This is pretty good here, run around the outside. Good AI racing here. Goes for the high line again. Able to make up a little bit of ground initially. And a little faster on the straightaway, which is good to note. Not that much, though. I think if you had a very good line on the bottom or a very good line on the top, a very good line on the bottom would get you much farther. But if the cars are all riding the bottom, it looks like you can go on the top and make it kind of work, which is good. I scraped the wall there, but spotter is also terrible. But if you can turn it off, it should be fine. And the rear view mirror, I think, could actually be added as well, and they don't have that yet. But in the cockpit, you can see the mirror, which it's pretty glitchy, but if you can have the mirror in the cockpit, it means they have the technology to do it. And that means it should be at least a little bit easier for them to get it in the outside view, like for here. Another spin here. Looks pretty good. Some smoke too, I haven't seen that much in other clips. Good rear end damage as well. Yeah, I think there's a bunch of issues with this game that make it bad and unplayable. But I kind of feel like we're in a good spot as a community, because the devs are kind of forced to fix it, because the game's in so bad of a state right now that they're going to get absolutely trashed and they're going to make IGN news because of how bad the state of the game is. And NASCAR Heat Evolution was kind of like a test for that. The game was terrible, and there were a bunch of bugs, and everything was bad about it. And it's notorious as the worst NASCAR game of all time. And it was kind of like a permanent dent on the Heat series. The Heat series was pretty bad all around, but just knowing that Heat Evolution was part of the Heat series made it terrible. That's partly why they probably changed their name, because of how bad the Heat series was. They didn't want to be associated with that anymore. And there's no way they would want to go down that path again. So they're forced to fix their game or lose, it seems like. And the community deserves the game to get fixed. Hopefully they're able to do it sooner rather than later, to help their reputation out. But it's good that we got the devs in a trap, so that they almost have to fix the game no matter what to stay afloat. Making good runs on the outside here, which is good. Timmy Hill's in the game too, which is nice. More ads. Yeah, I have hope that this game can get better, and I have tons of hope that 22, 23, and 24 will also be great games as well. Because this is a great base, and career mode has a lot of things like stats that are very nice. And I think that a lot of the hard stuff is here and done already, except for the next gen physics. They'll have to do that, but they've got a lot of the fine details, and the graphics are already at a good spot and won't need much, if any, work in the next coming games, but would be nice. But it's a huge part of the games that isn't that bad, and it'll help save time. And he just passed Chase Elliott for 4th, and that there's 3 cars in a line up there, train style. Hopefully they're able to fix that too. Nice wall riding here, but hopefully they're able to fix that train by adding a little bit of front end AI rubber banding. Because it's annoying to pass a bunch of people and then 3-car train, and it's always 3 cars, never 2, never 4, but always 3 cars that get out front and never come back. But that should be a pretty easy fix for the AI standpoint, because it's like AI would probably be difficult to change, but this would be one of the easier fixes for the AI, and it's one of the more important ones too. I feel like going on the apron would be a harder fix, but wouldn't be too drastic either. And slowing up the corners might be hard as well. But at least he is making ground by himself here. I don't think... Yeah, he's pulling off the pack behind him and gaining on the ones in front. Had a much better lap there. And he is gaining a fair bit here. But you can see these cars aren't passing anybody. They're not trying to pass each other. And they're staying freight train style all the way around the racetrack, which is not good. This high side seems to be working a bit there. See, Ross got a little out of line there, which is good that they're not like locked into a train. I mean, this is pretty train, but it's not extreme. The spotter is pretty extreme. And tire wear affects the AI more than it does you, which is different from games in the past, but here we got a pass for the lead. And still going, pulling a good gap now, but it's only 16 laps of 40 in, so it might get a little boring here, but yeah, so I think the game's got a good foundation. There's a good amount of bugs that can be fixed, but there's no time to lose hope on the game. I think there's definitely a chance it gets much better, and in the future it should get better. Here's going to be a hard hit on the inside wall. All right, slow it down a good bit. Spotter being strange again. Water spraying out of the hood, which is a nice detail. Bid options are also nice, but yeah. Should be a mirror, and track map would go right there and fit in pretty well. The screen seems pretty open, so there's obviously a good amount of space for it. And there is no speed limit on pit road, and I don't think they have penalties for it yet, which is bad. And spun onto pit road here. But if you do speed onto pit road, your car will start doing donuts and just start spinning around in circles and flooring it, which is pretty bad. That needs to get fixed, and I don't know how easy that will be to fix. Also nice that you can have your pits are where you qualify. And he's back going again. You can see a black flag on the top right. I don't know what that's for. Cockpit here looks pretty good. Little far back. And that pillar right there kind of blocks your vision. But there's the mirror there. And there's another one down there. But it seems like it would be a... Oh, he's getting spun out here. I don't think there's blowovers in this game either, which is kind of disappointing, but NASCAR's package makes it not happen anymore as well, so not that bad. Kind of slowing down here. Yeah, the game is always going to the garage. The game is in a pretty bad state and definitely needs to get fixed before it comes out. And yeah, a lot of essential changes made before it deserves to be released, but it is a stock in the market, so they might need to get earnings for the game, but this is definitely not a good start, and they'll need to fix this game for any money really to be made. And if they don't make money, of course that's not good, but it might be pretty bad here if they lose a significant amount of money on this game. So yeah, I would say that overall concerns are pretty high, but I don't think they should be overwhelming yet. I think there's a good chance that a lot of the issues can be fixed and the game can be good, and the developers have also responded, but leaderboard's also pretty jacked up and wonky, but yeah, the developers responded that they are trying to fix it, but who knows if that was an honest thing or not. So I'm going to get the game personally, but I feel like a lot of people are going to skip out on this one in protest, which is a good thing. So yeah, mixed feelings, a mixed bag. Hopefully they can get it fixed, but yeah. I think I'll end it here. Don't know if I have any more to talk about, so yeah, I'll probably try to upload stuff on YouTube when the game actually does come out, and I'll have my opinion on it, and hopefully the patches make it better, but yeah, pretty big disappointment to how we thought the game was going to turn out, but yeah. Yeah, I'm going to end it here. So make sure to keep up with my YouTube channel, because I should be uploading stuff. And I don't know where I'm going to go with this game, but hopefully I'm able to have a little bit of fun with it and get a little content and hopefully grow the channel a little bit. No burnouts in this game either, which is pretty disappointing. Should be in the next one though. Yeah, I'm going to end it here though, so should see you guys on like Tuesday or Wednesday for Crash compilation or game review or something, so goodbye.